Welcome. What is up? Welcome to the Mixer. I'm your host, RC. I'm joined by my co-host here, Jeff, with two Fs. Jeff, well, one F maybe. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Had a pretty stressful weekend, but things are good now.
Yeah. I feel you there. I feel you there on the stress. We need. I need some venting. You probably need some venting as well, Jeff. What are your tales this week, man?
I mean, overall, it's a good tilt, but my dog thought he was gonna die,
Oh
and then
shit!
yeah, he got real lethargic over the weekend. Was you
Never
know
good.
going to the bathroom and not moving, like just laying in it, kind of thing.
Uh huh.
And Monday we thought we were gonna have to make the call, or
Oh.
well, Sunday we had talked, and Monday we thought it was gonna happen Monday. Then Monday he starts to look a little. He actually starts moving around a little bit. Still not great, but a little bit.
He heard
Yesterday,
he heard you guys talking about it. He's like, "Oh crap! I better
yeah.
put some pep
And
in my step."
so just to like clarify, he's not like 2 or 3 years old, right? Like
Yeah.
he's 14. He's an old man.
Okay.
Um, so it's like if it's that time, it's that time kind of thing. But
Uh huh.
yeah, we were a little worried about that, and then I'm pretty sure, like you said, he heard us talking about it, and by Monday afternoon, Tuesday morning, he was pretty much back to brand new. And
Awesome.
yeah, he's been good since then, but he was throwing me off.
Well, I am happy to hear that. I mean, he heard you. He probably heard you indating Drew Brees' career a few weeks before too. So, Jeff, I mean, being the raging radical left lib that you are, wanting to cancel culture everybody. Um, I'm glad your dog, is
Persevered.
continuing on. Yeah, yeah. Um, so I mean, before I forget, if you enjoy stories, uplifting stories like this about old timey dogs continuing to live on their lives and continuing their journeys in this meaningless existence that we all collectively share. Um, Subscribe to us on anywhere you could find podcasts. Well, almost anywhere. Anywhere decent. Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts. And then we're on YouTube. Check out our YouTube channel, the Mixer channel. Follow all our social channels. It's at FCY Mixer, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I'm expecting an upgrade here in my laptop, so should be able to put out some more content within the next few months. So be ahead of the game, and yeah, you'll be able to hopefully be be be, be more entertained by us. Speaking of technology, that kind of leads me into my tilt. So Jeff, um, I ordered an iPhone 12.
Okay.
I was told by a sleazy Best Buy sales manager that I didn't really necessarily even need an upgraded laptop. I just needed a new iPhone and I could be able to do anything on a podcast. But I mean, I am hopefully going to get a new laptop as well. But anywho, I've never been an early adopter when it comes to new cell phone models. I've always been kind of, the at least the markdown or even refurbished models, always looking for a deal. But this time I splurged, like the price was right. It wasn't too bad. It's only like $10 extra based on my trade-in value that I had.
Okay.
So yeah, I splurged. I ordered the 12. I've been checking the shipping, um, the tracking numbers and such. And today it was supposed to arrive. And I get home. I look on the porch. There's something on the porch. The box is a little dinged up. And then I open the box, and then this this is what's in the box. Does that look like an iPhone case to you, or an iPhone box?
I mean, it definitely does not.
says Phonak. Life is on. Phonak charger case combo. And then, I mean, this isn't quite an unboxing video, but I mean, might as well. And then this is the lovely Phonak charger. What the frick does this charge?
God.
What does this charge?
No clue.
Is it yeah, and it's got this little cleaner deal. So I guess I can actually use this to clean the iPhone little thing. Yeah, the little port that it charges, because mine always gets dirty. But yeah, and then there's like 2 little charging ports. So like, what phone has 2 chargers, and what phone would slip in there? The only thing I could think of is for headphones. Completely useless. And then I call them, and it's like, so they just sent you the charger? And it's like, no, they didn't just send me the charger. They sent me some random charger.
Right.
And then they it's a whole deal. I called customer service. Of course, the first customer service number is like, our number has changed. Please call this number. And it's not one that automatically transfers you. So I call the other number, and then the other number's like, for I think it's for cable service. So I don't know. I'm calling the wrong numbers. I finally get a hold of somebody, and then they're like, oh, you need to talk to somebody in our loyalty program. And then I was like, okay. So they transfer me to the loyalty program, and they're like, what happened? Of course, got to tell the same story again. They're like, okay, just hold on for me. And then like dead air for 2 minutes. Just hold on for me. It's like, bro, like, yeah, I'm still here. I'm still holding. And then transfers me to another guy, and he's like, hi, who am I speaking with? And I say my name, and then like dead air, nothing. So I have to call him back. A half hour for nothing. Oh my God, bro. My God. Why does this keep happening? Sean, what the fuck, man? What the fuck? Anywho. So that's what's been going on with me, man.
That's tough.
Yeah, it is tough. Let's talk some sports. Our getaway. What a week. NFL, right? We're getting into it. We're in the fantasy playoffs now. We just wrapped up week 13. Coronavirus didn't affect it too much. We had the Ravens-Cowboys game last night, Tuesday night football yet again. But all the games went on pretty much as scheduled. I mean, obviously there's not Tuesday night games, but we knew about that last week. And then the Steelers played an early, I guess, Monday afternoon football game, which is also we knew about last week. There was the issue with Des Bryant last night, which, I mean, he quit the season. So, whatever.
He's back.
Big picture, what stands out from you week 13, Jeff?
They're still playing. That's the big picture right there. We've got one team that can't even play in its home stadium because of coronavirus, right? The 49ers have to play in Arizona the rest of the year pretty much. We got guys getting pulled from games like 5 minutes before the games are going to start. A lot of things going on, but overall, it's been a pretty successful year in terms of they're getting games played. We're progressing through the season, but I do feel like, again, the NFL could have made this a lot easier on themselves if they had just included a second bye week for everyone and just gone to 18 weeks. So,
yeah, they should have started the season sooner. This is what they needed to do. And then they could have kept the playoff schedule the same, but they didn't have the foresight to do that because they're the NFL.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with you there. A lot of, at least, there was at least one. Actually, I suppose there were 2 big upsets. So we had the Giants take down the Seahawks in Seattle, 17-12, and then the Washington football team led by the fearless Alex Smith. The took down the Steelers, the undefeated Steelers, 23-17. You had the Jets. If it weren't for her, just a complete moronic, a full-on blitz in the waning time in that fourth quarter game against the Raiders. They would have got their first win of the season, but they ended up losing 31-28. Jeff, out of those three results, what was the most surprising to you?
The Jets having a chance to win at the end of a game.
Mm-hmm.
That was about it.
Yeah, the Raiders. I mean, they laid an egg last week. They got destroyed by the Falcons, 43-6, and I mean, this is the Raider team that earlier beat the Chiefs. So really, really hot and cold. The Raiders, it seems.
Yeah, they're. I don't know. They're a weird team. They're without Josh Jacobs this week. But like you said, they're very hot and cold. I think they're seem to be very big play reliant this year. Their average isn't all that great, but when they hit big plays, they tend to win games. It seems like.
Yeah, Darren Waller I think he hit 200 yards receiving on the dot. I believe it was only the 7th time or maybe 17th time. There's definitely a 7 in there that it's ever happened for a tight end. Pretty impressive feat. Obviously he's balling out. Even though I think we mocked him in our first first mock draft, one of our early episodes, because I think he went in the 5th round. Anywho, one of the other games that I had just brought up, the football team, the Washington football team against the Steelers. By the way, we forgot to mention, the missed opportunity on the branding that they could have done if they would have went with my suggestion, the Washington cornucopias they played on Thanksgiving Day. In this COVID season, really could have united the American people around an ideal of sharing nature's bounty around a table while genocide occurred all around in mass deaths. Topical stuff. But anyway, Alex Smith, he's looking serviceable, which is more than you can say for at least a few quarterbacks in the NFL, taking down the undefeated Steelers. I mean, do you think Washington can sneak into the playoffs? The NFC East is definitely still up for grabs. And do you think they could maybe win a playoff game?
I mean, they definitely can sneak in. I don't think they're winning a playoff game. Their defense is legitimately good.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the underrated part of Washington this week or this year in general. Is like their defense is decent, right? Like they're not world beaters, but they're solid.
Chase Young. Whew.
Yeah.
He's something else, man.
Dude is good. And then, their offense hasn't been great. Alex Smith is kind of iffy, but he's not going to lose you a game, really. So, that's kind of the way they played on Monday was defense played well. Offense, it's not like the offense was great. They scored 23 points, but when your defense plays well, that's all it takes sometimes. It's just getting over 20,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I hope they make it in the playoffs. Seeing Alex Smith in a playoff game, who would have thought, right? Who would have thought? I don't know if you hashtag ground the tape for this game, but you could, in the lead up to the game, they had the hype video that was 2 comeback player of the year nominees. Big Ben, he had surgery on his elbow, so it showed him going through some of his stuff, and then it showed Alex Smith with his leg. And I mean, I don't know if you call it a halo when it's on your leg, but basically that freaking erector set that goes around whatever um, limb, body part that needs support. Dude, I kind of can I get NC-17 rated? No, never mind. We're not going to go there. We're not going to go there. I know some families listen to this podcast, so I'm not going to go there. Although I'm tempted. But anywho, they show, Alex has a freaking erector set around his leg, and I mean, not to make light of like deformities or anything, but I mean, it almost looked like he had like elephantitis on his leg. It was, it was all like lumpy, and I mean, it did not look like a regular limb, man. It was, I mean, it was disturbing, and again, if you haven't seen Project 11, the documentary on his recovery, it's on ESPN Plus. Highly recommend watching. His leg, I mean, they had to basically fillet half of it off down to the bone and then rebuild it back with skin grafts. And yeah, it's just amazing what he went through. And he's out there, luckily his play style is kind of conservative. So it seems not to limit him too much. But anyway, it's just remarkable. He was one of my favorite players before then, and just what he stands for. I think I thought about this a few weeks ago. It probably sounds outrageous, but just with his comeback, I'm starting to think that Alex, he doesn't have the numbers, but he led it. I guess he was on a Super Bowl team. He didn't go to the Super Bowl, but I'm just thinking, I could see him at least being in the talks for the Hall of Fame, just based on his comeback. I doubt that it'll get there, but I feel like a story like his belongs yeah, at least in the discussion. Am I
Yeah,
off
I mean, I'm
base
with you.
thinking that?
I think the problem is like I could see him being in the discussion. The problem is, like you even brought up, is that he didn't really win a lot, and then also the two teams he was at previously, San Francisco and Kansas City, got better after he left. So I think that goes against him in some ways, right? But I think him as a player, he's been in the league long enough. I think the talk makes sense to get in. I doubt it, but he's a fringe guy, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hopefully, I don't know. I feel like if they win a playoff game this season, God, if they win two and make like the NFC Championship, which is very highly unlikely, I think those discussions are warranted, and I think a case can be made. And the talking heads like myself can at least fill some hours of talk. Anywho, moving on. I mean, we talked about the Giants kind of upsetting the Seahawks with a backup quarterback. But
Giants have won like 4 in a row.
yeah, in a NFC beastin'. Yeah, I don't know. Seahawks are just they're another hot and cold team. Their defense is kind of trash, but yeah, just some weird results there. I mean, looking at the rest of what had happened, I mean, I don't want to really get into the Patriots Chargers game, but I will say, I mean, it was just a complete disaster. The special teams is terrible. Anthony Lynn needs to get fired. The Patriots had the ball a lot, and even though they couldn't really do anything spectacular on offense, they just kept getting first downs. So, yeah, it was just it was the most frustrating game to watch, and it made me realize that even though Philip Rivers never won any big games, never had any Super Bowl bursts, grateful to have him for the time that we did because never got blown out like that, or it was very rare. So, I can think of maybe one time in his time with the Chargers that they had gotten shut out or just completely were out of a game. So, yeah. Again, I think it was just a one-off thing, and I think Herbert will be just fine. It was just rough and frustrating. Your Browns went in and wrecked shop against the Titans. I think you have the Titans figured out, but I'm just curious, are you hype on the Browns right now and their chances? They're what, 9-3?
9-3.
Looking spicy.
Yeah,
Wild
first
card spot
winning
because
season in a while.
they're behind the Steelers, but
Yeah, yeah, it's the first winning season in a long time.
mhm.
Um, it's been a successful year. I think Stefanski's kind of gotten Baker back on track, which is
Four
nice to see.
touchdowns.
Yeah. I think obviously the Titans game is a little misleading. Scoring 35, 38 in the first half, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of tuned out, obviously, because it was such a big deficit for the Titans to make up. But it seemed like the Browns kind of slowed it down in the second half and weren't kind of changed the offense a little bit, and were just more about getting to the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the score ended up 45-38 or something like that,
Yeah.
and looked fairly close, it really wasn't a close game at all.
Yeah.
Feel good about them. They could maybe win a playoff game, but I don't think they're doing much more than that, to be honest. I don't know if they have enough to hang with the Chiefs type thing. But I do like that they're growing. They seem to be getting better. And yeah, I mean, that's the big thing. I think the Ravens this week will be a big test, right? If they can beat the Ravens this week, it's like, okay, maybe they're making a jump. If they lose to the Ravens, then it's kind of like, all right, they're a decent team. They're going to beat up on some bad teams, and then they're probably going to lose to some good teams, right?
Mm-hmm. They play the Steelers week 17. Curious if the Steelers, if that will mean anything to them, but I'm sure that's one they have circled on the calendar. But
it's highly unlikely, but that could be for the division still, right?
Yeah.
The Steelers would have to lose a couple games. Obviously, the Browns would kind of have to win out to an extent, but there's a chance that is for something.
Yeah, they're a team that I'm looking forward to watching in the playoffs, for sure, for sure. I mean, maybe we'll get Browns Titans revenge game. The Bears choked. Surprise, surprise. They lost fourth quarter lead to the Lions, 34-30. Trubisky costly late fumble. Thoughts and prayers. The Colts beat the Texans. Rams beat the Cardinals. Rams have been looking good of late. The Packers destroyed the Eagles. The Bills beat the Niners. Saints beat the Falcons. Nothing else really here. And the Ravens beat the Cowboys last night. Anything else here on the scoreboard from week 12 or week 13, excuse me, that you want to go over? Tua got back in. I know we're paying attention to the rookie quarterbacks, but anything else you want to go over?
Not for me, no. I think we're good.
I'm glad that Tua got back in, even though they struggled against the Bengals. But long term, it should be what's best for them because he's still showing that he's got some growing to do. The only way he's going to grow is by being out there. Fitzpatrick is not the long term answer, regardless of, I mean, he's got magic for 1 or 2 weeks and then he'll implode. So yeah, that's week 13. Week 13 in the books. Week 14, we got some good matchups. Thursday night game tomorrow. Patriots. We'll see if the Patriots can keep their win streak going. I think it's been fool's gold. And the Rams have also been doing really well. So, I expect them to continue to do well. You got Ravens Browns grudge match, Monday Night Football, Steelers Bills on Sunday night. That'll be a good game. So, yeah, looking forward to this week. The Chargers have a very winnable matchup against the Falcons. So, it should be a fun week 14. Plus fantasy playoffs. Jeff, your boy is the number 3 seed in 2 playoff leagues, or in 2 leagues, and the 2 seed in another. Thoughts and prayers to you, first of all. Missed the playoffs for the first time in our home league. You had a great run, and I know I've been there. I was there last year. You'll be back. Just iced up, study up, and we'll see you next year in the playoff bracket, or in the Dirk bracket.
I appreciate that.
Do you have any final words or parting thoughts on your season that was, now that the games don't really matter for you?
Well, I mean, they do, because I'm not trying to finish in last. That is a thing in our league, right?
Yeah.
So I just got to win one of the next 3 weeks. And yeah, I mean, a few teams felt it this year. Looking at our league, the teams that are in the Dirk bracket, or the top bracket, were overall the healthiest teams in our league, and the teams in the made bracket were the unhealthiest. Not saying that like guys in the top bracket didn't have injuries, but there were different kinds of injuries, right? And this isn't just about my team. This is about, Matt's team had a bunch of injuries. Anthony had a bunch of injuries, right? Like all that stuff. So, and that's stuff you can't really predict. So it happens. Good luck to everyone in the top bracket. My vote is for Steven to win.
I'm right here.
Yeah, I know, but if you win, it'll give you a second title, and I don't really want that. So I'm still sticking with my Steven pick. But yeah, I mean, overall, like I was looking at it on ESPN, I have 6 leagues on there. I'm in the playoffs in 5 out of 6. I'm the number 1 seed in 2 of them. I'm the number 2 or 3 seed in 2 others, and then I'm like the 4th seed in our dynasty league, which I somehow made the playoffs in. No clue how.
Same.
Yeah, that one where I had Saquon go down, I had Odell go down, all those guys. But yeah, I mean, it's overall a successful year. Just, home league, we've been down a little bit. It happens. We'll bounce back.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to the playoffs. Not 100% confident about my squad. So I've been lucky. Injuries, knock on wood, haven't taken me out. However, this week I did lose the number 1 seed in my cash league, most likely due to Antonio Gibson and his toe injury. So, I ended up losing my matchup by like 8 points. And I mean, he's been averaging over 10 pretty much every game. So that happens though. So I missed out on the 1 seed in a first round bye. So I got an extra game that I got to play to get to the next round. But I've won it from this place before, playing in the first round. So it's just another week. So I like my chances to get a title. And yeah, I mean, that's what we're gonna go do. We're gonna go try to bring home some silverware for the show. I'm taking on Mason, the guy who handed me my most epic loss a few years ago in the second round of playoffs, when I was trying to defend my 1 home league title. So I'm ready. I'm ready to avenge that loss. I lost to him earlier this year, so yeah, I'm coming for him. I'm coming for him, and I'm coming for the rest of those fools.
There you go.
Anywho, so yeah, I think that's enough NFL talk. Jeff, Formula One, we got to talk about it. What a week, man! What'd you think of the Sakhir Grand Prix week end?
Well, it was an awesome weekend, actually.
It was.
The the there was a little more drama in even just their practice sessions because of George being with Mercedes, obviously, um, instead of Lewis. And, through the first couple practice sessions, George was on top, right? Churning out fast lap after fast lap. Qualifying happened. George loses his qualifying record of out qualifying his teammate, even though he finished second in qualifying because his teammate happened to get the pole.
Like 200ths of a second.
Yeah, it was real close. And then the race was really exciting, and congrats to Sergio Perez, who
I wore pink. I wore pink today to
yeah,
rep the Pink Panther.
yeah. I mean, Sergio raced a hell of a race, especially with what happened on lap one, with Leclerc taking out Sergio, and then essentially putting Max out of the race as well. You can discuss. I think there is a little question. I think Sergio might have taken that turn a little too tight, which kind of led to it, but Leclerc was obviously being a little too aggressive at the same time.
Yeah.
So a couple things happened there. Sergio fought his way back. Again, congrats to him. Everything broke perfect for him to get him the win.
Yeah.
Mercedes, I heard an interview with Bottas, Valtteri, whatever, after the race, or it might have been yesterday or something, where, had that virtual safety car not come where Mercedes decided to pit, it's probably just Bottas and George at the end, right?
Yeah.
Instead, that car comes and, Mercedes decides to pit, which leads to some mistakes that you would not expect out of Mercedes to happen. And then in correcting those mistakes, they essentially cost George the win. Even though after they corrected it, he still got back up to second and looked like he was going to catch Sergio pretty easily. And then he punctures his left rear, I think it was. So he has to come back in, get another tire, go back out, and then he was in 13th or 12th after that, looking like the only way he was going to get a point was fastest lap, which he got, and then he ends up working his way back up into 9th, I think.
I think so.
Right behind Valtteri. It was, one of the more entertaining races because it wasn't just, oh, there goes Lewis, he's going to win, even though it felt like that for a while with George. He got out to the lead after the first turn and was pretty much there until the whole virtual safety car mishap, right? So, yeah, but it was, honestly, for me, it was an extremely exciting race. You had something happen that seems very weird, right? Like, how does a team like Mercedes get tires mixed up like that?
Yeah.
I have seen a couple F1 conspiracy theories that Mercedes did it on purpose, because how would it look if George won his first time out as a substitute in the Mercedes car, right? Whatever, but
yeah.
But yeah.
Galaxy brain. I mean, regardless that George Russell had been at least on par with Bottas the whole weekend. Yeah, they intentionally sabotage both drivers so that they wouldn't they wouldn't look foolish. They made themselves look foolish so they wouldn't look foolish.
Right.
However, I did think that maybe during qualifying, they did wind down. They did wind down Russell's car because he had been faster than Bottas in all the practice sessions leading up, and then all of a sudden Bottas was a little quicker. I thought maybe they wound Russell's car down a little bit to preserve the engine um, and to give Bottas, more of an easier path to a win because of his contribution to the team. But again, that's probably not even true. They probably just, he probably just found some time.
Yeah, I
Hell
mean
of a
that's
race.
Yeah, I was gonna say I bet Bottas just found something. It's almost like Lewis does it, and you see it almost every race with Lewis, where towards the end of a race, once it's kind of in hand, he just churns out like fastest lap after fastest lap. And Bottas probably did something similar to in qualifying, where he was just essentially cruising during their practice sessions, and then qualifying came, and he's like, "All right, I got to do this now," that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I wish there were more races like this. However, if there were more races like this, obviously the races like this wouldn't be as special. This since Lewis is out, the layout of the track, it being a night race, it just all lined up. It just all lined up to be a special event. And I think with Lewis being out, a lot of the drivers knew that a win was on the table, especially if things got a little wild, and naturally things got a little wild. Another favorite, Max Verstappen, who probably would have been there to pick up the scraps had Mercedes made a mistake, crashed out. Nobody on this podcast is shedding a tear for Max Verstappen. By the way, full douche mode on display after he went out of the race, going over to the wall and starting kicking it. I mean, I get it. You're frustrated, and it was his own mistake, really. But if you watch the overhead, he was actually, he broke early and then was on the outside. It was just like awkward. It was almost like he was driving scared, like he didn't want to mess up because he knew he had a chance at winning. And then congrats, you played yourself. Dot meme.
Yeah,
or dot
it
gif.
was the way I watched that. It was like, so you had George out front, you had Valtteri leading the group of Leclerc, Perez, and Max.
That was wild, by the way. They went 3 wide down that straight. That was
and it looked like to me Max knew what Sergio was going to do, which was take that turn a little tight, right? Because he had to in order to stay in front. He couldn't stay out wide.
Yeah.
Max seemed to read it, and Leclerc tried to push it, and obviously I don't think Charles expected Sergio to come in that sharp, is what it seemed like. Obviously, like, Sergio's in my mind not at fault, although he could have made it easier on everyone, right?
Yeah.
Leclerc's at fault, and I think like you said, Max I think he was trying to be smart and was like, okay, I'll back off and I'll let this happen.
Yeah.
And didn't anticipate them hitting, and which caused him to go out wide. And once he hit the gravel, had no chance at coming back, right?
Yeah. Which is, I mean, it's just weird because Verstappen's usually the guy that's full send. F you. Here's my 2 birds. I'm the captain now. This is my corner. And he's the one who blinked and tried to, instead of doing the full send high T move, he tried to do the calculated 3D chess move, let them take out, and then he'll pick up the scraps, but it didn't work out. So I'm curious how he's going to respond to that,
Yeah.
because he's definitely going to stick with them, you know. Um, Sergio, I mean, we haven't really, I mean, we've kind of just touched on it, but yeah, I mean, he takes the hit on the car. I mean, watching that in slow mo, I don't know how that car stayed intact. Um, but he drops down to last place. He changes tires, goes out there, and climbs his way all the way back up to first. And if, I mean, this is just what Sergio's done through his whole career. He makes tires last in these kind of weird races. He's always been the driver that can pick up random podiums just because of the chaos that goes on in front. And he finally got a win. I believe it's the first, or it's the longest career anybody has had before picking up their first win. The first win by a Mexican driver since 1970. It's only the second win. I falsely gave credit to Esteban Ocon as being a Mexican driver as well. But he's actually French. Esteban Ocon doesn't exactly sound French, but okay. I don't know why. I think it was because they were teammates, so I thought I thought they were sponsored by the same person. Anyway, doesn't matter. Esteban Ocon, French. Stroll, Sergio Perez's teammate, Canadian, third. So we had two North American drivers on the podium. So, I mean, just a totally unique outcome. The cars on that track at night, for some reason, just look awesome. The layout, I don't know what you thought of the layout, man, but it was a simple design, not that many corners. I loved it. I loved it. I hope they do it again. I hope they do some more variations at tracks like that. Because we don't need all these complicated corners. Just let these guys throw their cars around and do some racing. That's what this felt like. It felt like racing. A lot of Formula One, unfortunately, doesn't feel like racing. It feels like calculus and almost like
Yeah. I
golf.
also
No, not
I
not
also think
not to put you
too.
on the hot seat, but
No, I mean I get it. I also think too that it being a shorter track, right? Lap times were under a minute.
yeah,
What, like 53 seconds, something like that at times. Um, is that the difference in cars, although it could be huge at times, is less, right? So like you guys seem to be more bunched up for a long time
yeah.
at times. But I do have a little F1 uh, trivia here for you.
Okay,
Um, since 2011, right? So the
okay.
last 10 years,
Uh-huh.
which year has had the highest percentage of drivers get on a podium? So, like, for example, in 2011, 7 of the 28 drivers that year made a podium, so 25%.
Mm-hmm.
Which year had the highest percentage of drivers get on a podium?
Are we counting this year?
We are counting this year, even though it's not over.
Okay, so the new engine regs kicked in I think 2016 or 2015. 2011. I'm trying to think. I mean, it's been three teams for a while. So, and this year it's kind of been they've had, McLaren's finally back. So I'm gonna say it's probably this year, and it's probably not even close to be honest. I know Mercedes is dominating, but with Ferrari out of it and then still getting it, there's just not that like dominant third team, or even second team, because Verstappen is the only consistent one. That's
Right.
just that's just my thought, that I think it's this year, and it's mainly just because even though we have the 1-2 of Hamilton and Bottas, who are pending any problems, pretty much a lock. It's just that and Verstappen crashes so much. It's like that third spot is so open that that there'd be more, when usually there's only like maybe 6, 7, 8 drivers who have a chance of a
Right.
podium the whole year.
So yeah, so you're exactly right. This year, it's been 13 out of 23 drivers have had a podium, so 56.5%.
It's crazy.
Um,
What are some other years? I'm just curious.
so the other year that's the only other year over 50% was 2012. That was
Mm-hmm.
13 out of 25 drivers. Okay.
Okay.
Other than that, you're looking at 2014, 2015 both had 10 drivers. They're at 43% and 47%. And then the low is 2011, 2017, and 2018 all had 7 drivers on the podium.
Uh-huh.
Right. So this is kind of, this was interesting to me because you hear like, F1's kind of boring at times because Lewis and Mercedes are winning everything, right?
Uh-huh.
But, when I look at this, I go, well, this year, if you take off the winner, right, it's one of the more exciting years, I think,
Yeah.
F1, with over half the field finishing on a podium, right? And then you get, not that yesterday's happened often, or not that last weekend happened often, but we get a race like that where Sergio gets his first win. You get Ocon in second and Stroll in third. Like, that's a unique podium right there.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. If even if you took just Hamilton off, this year would have been, elite.
Right.
Hats off to Lewis. He still makes F1 better. I thought about asking uh, you know, the what's the word I'm looking for? Not the trash question, but the low hanging fruit question of is Formula One better without Lewis Hamilton? But anyway, this weekend felt different. It felt like it hasn't felt in a while. It reminded me of the late 2000s when it was McLaren versus Ferrari, and going into the weekend, you didn't know who was going to really be, the quickest at the track. So you're watching all the practice sessions to see how they're doing. So
Right.
hopefully next season's probably going to be a little bit more of the same. Probably going to be Mercedes dominance, but I am optimistic that the following season, when the rules change, we'll have more weekends like this. And if we get some more unique track layouts, which I hope that this season has, taken away, that we'll get some, I don't know, we'll just get some more entertaining races, because damn, this week felt good, man. This week felt so good. I was
Yeah.
excited, man. I was proud to be a Formula One fan this weekend, or last weekend. I was like, that's gonna be our niche. We're gonna be Formula One and NFL, and we're gonna get thousands of subscribers. I'm gonna get F1 swag. We're gonna get
Ooh.
Verstappen on here. I'm gonna say he has a very punchable face, and it'll be awkward, but we'll be cool. Like, I'll make it all right. We'll see. We'll see. Hashtag goals.
You know, I have to be honest. Like, I do sort of like Max. He isn't the most likable guy,
He
but
is
I do
the
love how
perfect
blunt he is.
villain. He's the perfect villain. I love it. I want him to be around forever so I can hate him.
Yeah, he's very much seems like
An
only
asshole.
says what he needs to say, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't talk a whole lot, or at least that's what it seems like. And he's very just upfront about how he feels, and I love it.
Yeah. I hope we get. We're leading into this weekend, Abu Dhabi, the most beautiful looking trash bag of a track ever. Um, George Russell tentatively penciled in for Mercedes press conferences. COVID still impacting Lewis Hamilton. Unsure if he will be cleared to race. I hope it's George Russell. Rest up, Lewis. Take some extra time off. Go hang out with the Kardashians or something. You know, they haven't been in the news for a few weeks, so yeah, do your A-lister shit. Let George do the racing.
I'm with you.
All right, man. Let's get out of here. It's been a week. I got to go argue with AT&T some more. So
go for it.
Thanks for joining, Jeff. It's always a pleasure.
We got to do a NBA best ball at some point.
Yeah, for sure. Enjoy your PF Changs, man.
Of course.
All right. Bye, everybody. Toodaloo!